Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Women Unleashed. Today I'm actually on my own, and it's been such a long time since I've done an episode on my own, and it's coming up to Valentine's Day, and it's been it has been a year actually since me and my ex split up. So I thought it would be a good idea to do a episode around that. So one thing that I struggled with throughout the breakup was whether or not I should block my ex-partner. And I know a lot of people out there deal with the same thing. I've had so many messages from people asking, what did you do? What shall I do? Now, obviously, everyone's got their own means of ways of doing things. Personally, well, what I used to think was, you don't need to block your ex. It was one of them things for me, like if you had a good relationship, things were amicable, you got on really, really well, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to block them? They're your person, they're your best friend, you're staying on good terms. But eventually, over time, that my perception of that massively changed, especially when my friends were saying to me, block your ex, okay? All my friends apparently they say they block their ex. And for me, it was like, okay, well, I can't do that, okay? Because yes, maybe if, I don't know, your partner cheated, if your partner was disloyal to you, if they were horrible to you, or they abused you or something like that, yes, it's a little bit harder. But if you were on good terms, they were your best friend and you just drifted apart, it is a little bit more of a difficult situation to kind of come about. So I wanted kind of to speak about my story, what I did, and how things changed over time in the space of a year whilst I healed. So obviously, me and my ex left on good terms. I say obviously as though people know we left on good terms. There was no bad blood. We said we would stay in each other's lives because, we were like best friends. We were so close. So it was stupid to just kind of throw it away. And what happens when you don't block your ex is you'll stay in touch, every now and again, one or the other will message to see how the other one's getting on. How are you? How's things? Just to catch up, make sure each other's okay. And that's all well and good, but obviously they were your partner in the past. You are going to have some form of emotion towards them, always. So it makes it a little bit difficult to kind of get over it. You're never actually truly going to be able to get over that person because they're always there in the back of your mind. They're messaging you, you might feel like, oh, maybe 8 weeks you don't speak, you just start to feel better, and then they come back and you're like, oh, back to square one again. So for me, it was a big learning experience. So what you need to bear in mind is when you split with your ex, is it going to benefit you staying in touch with them? For me, at first I thought, yeah, of course, I want that person in my life still. I want to be able to speak to them. I want them to be able to check in on me. We want to maintain that friendship. But let me put it straight. That friendship isn't going to be a friendship. There's always going to be emotions, okay? Yes, maybe a few years down the line, once you get over them, maybe then you can have that good relationship as friends. But whilst you're healing, it's probably one of the worst things you can do. And, that person has clearly upset you or done something because you've either split up, so it's upset you, or they've left you, so it has upset you. So you've got the association of hurt with that person. When you feel lonely, you want to reach out to them. It's just like a little trauma bond. So if they're not blocked, what are you going to do? You're going to either message them or call them. Or even if you go on a night out, you're going to call them or they will call you. If, for example, you feeling down or you want to know what they're getting up to, you want to know if they're moving on, you're going to go stalk their social media, see what they're doing, constantly looking for things, and it's just going to keep upsetting you and it's going to delay the healing process so much. So from my experience, it took me a year for me and my ex to finally say, no, this is done, we're going to, part ways and not stay in touch because we could not. We both had feelings, and if two people love each other, you're going to have them feelings towards one another. So after a year, which seems like a really, really long time of back and forth, going like 4, 6, 8 weeks, not talking, then having a conversation, then emotions flooding back, was like, this is it. And we ended up blocking each other on WhatsApp and on Instagram and all the emails, everything like that. And from that moment that we blocked each other, things just started to change completely. Yes, it was hard at the time. It was heartbreaking to know that, not going to be able to speak to that person. But you need to be selfish and you need to think, what is it actually going to be for me in the long run? Is it going to be better for me to do that? Yes, it is. And I never believed any of my friends that said this because, all my friends left on bad terms with their exes, whereas I didn't. And I was like, no, I don't believe that. I believe you can still be friends with your ex. Yes, you can be friends with them, but should you be in touch? Probably not. The reason why I say this, and the breakthrough that I had during this whole process, is once we'd blocked each other, it felt like a massive weight was lifted off my chest. Yes, it was difficult and hard for a few days, but then actually not hearing from that person and not feeling anxious made me feel a lot better. I didn't feel like, I didn't think about that person as much, obviously, because they weren't creeping up. And all in all, I just felt happier. I felt like I could actually eventually move on with my life. And, when you're still talking to your ex, you don't want to date other people. Or when you do, you're always going to compare that person that you're on a date with, or a person that you're speaking to, or whatever. You're going to always compare that person to your ex, and they will never be good enough in your eyes because you're still so hyper focused on your ex-partner. So in my opinion, I would say blocking them, you can then actually allow yourself to go and date and be a lot more open-minded and enjoy meeting other people. And on that note, how do you actually expect to meet somebody new when you are still speaking to your ex? Because what are you going to say? Oh, me and my ex are still in touch. Nobody's going to like that. You've got to reverse the situation. Imagine if you met somebody and they said to you, oh, by the way, me and my ex are still talking. You'd be like, that's a bit strange. Especially at the beginning, because it's like, you clearly have emotions for that person, and I'm always going to love my ex. I'm always going to have feelings towards him. He helped me through a very, very rough time. We were there for one another. We were like best friends, we were inseparable. But it doesn't mean that I'm not able now to move on with my life, and it's taken me a year just over to realise that and actually come to terms with the fact that it's okay to block someone. It's not out of spite, and it's not because you hate them. It's actually to protect yourself, and it's super, super important to do that. So what I would say for anybody out there is do it straight away. Don't wait a year like I did, because you're just delaying your healing process. The sooner you do it, the better you will feel, and the sooner you will feel better. And again, if you are somebody that is looking for a partner, you need to remember that until one door is closed, another one won't open. So if you're out there searching for a new partner, well, first of all, you shouldn't be searching for a partner. Love will find you when you least expect it, and I've hands down experienced that. But you need to actually let go of something, whatever it is in life, with your job, with family, with friends, in relationships. You need to let one door close for another one to open. The universe, and I'm massive on that, always has the right path for you, okay? And you're never going to go in the wrong direction. Your life is planned out, and it's going to go the right way. The universe doesn't want you to feel bad. The universe doesn't want you to have a bad life. Everything that is happening for a reason, and the reason behind it might not seem valid at the moment. You might feel like your world's crumbling, you're crying every day because you've broke up with your ex and things just aren't the way you want them to, and you think you can't live without them. But that was me last year. If this is you now, that was me last year. I was in your shoes, and I never thought I would get out of it. I never thought I would get over it, and year down the line, I am so much better. Do I think about my ex sometimes? Yes, of course I do. He was a big part of my life. Do I miss him sometimes? Yes, of course I do. But have we made the right decision? Yes, we have made the right decision. And it took me a long time to realise that, and it took me a long time to come to terms with what had actually happened. But because I'd done the inner healing work and I worked on myself quite a lot, it made it a lot easier, So I would always say you need to leave the past in the past to then be able to move forward with your life. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be stuck in the present forever. So one thing that I've learned from a breakup is no matter how much you love someone and how much you don't want to let them go, you need to be selfish. You need to look after yourself, because at the end of the day, it's you that's living your life and not them. So bear that in mind going forward. When you're thinking about other people, just think it is okay to be selfish at times. So kind of going back to the blocking, because I've gone off on a tangent yet again, as Dom does, to the blocking situation. It might feel harsh. You might want to block the person straight away without telling them, or if you want to leave it more amicable, I would literally message them and be like, look, just out of respect, I'm going to let you know I'm going to block you, and it's not because I don't like you and because I hate you. It's just to protect myself and to protect you from getting hurt as well. The saying, what you don't know doesn't hurt you, and as savage as that is, it's true. Because if you're out there looking through someone's Instagram and digging at things and you don't actually know the ins and the outs of what's happening, you're just seeing it from an outsider's perspective, you then start making stories up in your head of what could have potentially happened, and you think of the worst case scenario when that's probably not the case, So if you don't know, it's not going to hurt you and you're not going to think about it. Like myself, I remember in the beginning, and I'm going to hold my hands up, and I think we all do it. We'll all go for a little stalk. Oh, what are they getting up to? It seems like they're really happy. Oh my God, they're moving on without me. And then you end up hurting yourself, and you sat there thinking, oh my God, how have they moved on so fast? And I'm still sat here in a rut crying and can't get over them, etc. When the reality is, they're probably feeling the exact same way that you are, but social media is just such a fake place, so you just don't believe what you see in social media. And again, if that person is feeling down, if they want to tell you, they'll tell you, but if they're blocked, they won't be able to tell you. And the reason why I say this is because I've experienced that. We were back and forth for a very long time, and it's like, oh, because we care for each other so much, etc. And it's like, no, because if you cared for me, if we cared for each other, we would just leave each other alone. And it was a hard pill to swallow. It really, really was a hard pill to swallow, but eventually it worked out. And I believe that later down the line, if our paths are meant to cross again, they will. If we have to be in touch, we will. And I think if something ever happened and I needed to get in touch with my ex-partner, there's always a way, do you know what I mean, through a friend or anything like that. If it's urgent, if it's, I don't know, something scary has happened, like, you can always let that person know. But from the get-go, you just need to cut that contact completely, otherwise you're never going to heal, as I keep saying. And it took me a long time to realise that. So I want you all to be able to take my wrongs and take my lessons and apply them into your life, and actually not do what I did, and just honestly swallow the pill and do it. And just go now, grab your phone, click block on Instagram, on WhatsApp, the phone number, even the emails. I don't know if any guys or girls will email you, but it's worth blocking that as well, because you never know, okay? And if you live close to someone, because I've had this done to me, okay, one of my exes used to drive by my house to check if I was home. So that's something you can't avoid, but don't do silly things like going to follow them and do stalkerish shit, because that's just creepy, okay? But protect yourself. Don't make up scenarios in your own head. Don't go looking for things you don't want to see, because you're only going to hurt yourself even more and more and more, and it's going to delay the healing process effectively. One important thing that I did want to mention is to not feel bad about doing it, because at the end of the day, yes, you love them, yes, they love you, but think long term. Do you want to be happy? Do you want to move on with your life? Do you want to meet somebody else? Do you want to have a good relationship with somebody else? If the answer to all them questions is yes, then you just need to do it. And they're not going to be mad at you. They will understand. And you know what? They will probably be thinking about doing the same thing, but they're just scared to do it as well. So the long story short here is, should you block your ex after you split up? Yes, you should. Because otherwise, it's going to be a battle of back and forth. And you know what? If you don't block them, you might get back together for a few months, and then you'll break up again, and it's going to be a big cycle of limbo of back and forth. Am I going to block? Are we going to get back together? Are we not? Should we not? And it's just a massive head fuck, and it's going to mess with your head day in and day out, and then you're going to be wondering, is that my person? Is it not my person? And you know what I'm going to say to that? If it is your person, if you block each other, if you get out of each other's lives, and then later down the line you meet again, then that's your person. But if you don't, then that's not your path. The universe has a different path for you. So just bear that in mind. And I strongly start to believe that, that was one of the things that I kept saying to myself when it came to, parting ways and cutting contact. I was like, if it's meant to be, it will be. I always say this. If something's meant to be, it will happen in whatever strange way the universe wants it to happen. So if you and your ex-partner are meant to be together, your paths will cross later down the line when you're both ready for it. Maybe it's not your time right now. Maybe you're not meant to be with that person. Maybe you're on two completely different paths, and he needs to fulfill his life, you need to fulfill yours, and then when you're both ready, you come together as a pair. And if you apply that belief into your life, you will find that things will become so much easier. It's literally believing that everything happens for a reason, because it does. And as I keep saying, you will find out later down the line, and you know what, it will all make sense one day. You're going to sit there and be like, this is why it happened, this is exactly what happened, and now I understand. You're going to have like that light bulb moment, a penny's going to drop, and you're going to realise that everything that's happened is to make your life better. So what I'm going to do is, next episode is going to be a Valentine's special, since it's Valentine's Day, and it's a hard one for a few people, because it's a very commercial thing. I always believe that you should love your partner no matter what day of the year it is, not just because it's Valentine's Day you get them flowers or chocolates or whatever. You should always show some form of affection or love towards them, no matter what your love language is, okay? So this holiday that we have of Valentine's Day, it's just a holiday. Yes, it's not nice to see, everyone getting roses and everyone posting the good stuff on social media, but you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. That couple that are posting their happy forever, pictures of them going out for nice food with roses and presents and chocolates, they might have had an argument last night and been on the verge of breaking up, but they're not going to post that. They're only going to post the happy times. So try not to get caught up on people's perception and what other people are doing. Focus on yourself, and if you find that you're obviously on your own Valentine's Day, then next episode will be perfect for you, because I'm going to have Ellie in the studio, who is our heartbreak coach. She's been on many episodes before, and we're going to discuss Valentine's Day, Galentine's Day, how to deal with it, and what the best thing is to do if you feel lonely or stuck at that time of the year, and how to overcome it, basically. So thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Short and sweet episode, but part 2 of this episode will also follow with Ellie after the Valentine's Day one, so stay tuned.